Herculito, Maritime Limited and others v Gunvor International BV and others, 2024 UKSC2, aka the Somali Pirates case. The basic facts of this case were that a ship, the MT Polar, was sailing from a dock in St Petersburg to a dock in Singapore carrying a multi-million-pound cargo of goods. As the MT Polar reached the Red Sea, in particular in and around the Somalia area of the Red Sea, somehow or another, the Somali pirates ingeniously managed to get on board the MT Polar ship and then hijack control of it. Once the Somali pirates seized control of it, they held the crew at gunpoint, and they of course radioed back to show that they were wanting a massive loot of money to get off the ship. After a 10-month standoff, the owner of the ship eventually agreed to pay a ransom of $7.7 million to the Somali pirates to get the ship back. The Somali pirates got their $7.7 million ransom and kept up their end of the bargain, leaving the ship with their money and then disappearing like a fart in the wind off out into the ocean. The cargo on board was largely intact, and it is understood that no one was hurt or killed. The Somali pirates basically ran rings round the crew in a job that Captain Jack Sparrow himself would have been proud of. Okay, so those are the basic facts. So what is the key legal issue here? The facts were quite straightforward and something that most of us will probably have watched in a Disney film like Pirates of the Caribbean or something like that. But when it comes to this actually happening in the real world, who is legally liable to cough up the money to pay this $7.7 million ransom? Is it the ship owner who has to take the hit in that one? Is it the sailors and driving the boat? Is it the owners of the cargo on board? Even though the ship owner was the one who actually eventually paid the money to the Somali pirates, that does not necessarily mean he is the one who was legally required to pay it in the end. And the ship owners can still seek this from the other parties on the voyage. The legal reason the ship owners can seek this from the other parties on the voyage, the sailors and the cargo owners, is because they all had risks of war clauses in their insurance policies, their marine insurance policies. Just to clarify, for those who are unfamiliar with maritime law, under shipping law there are international maritime law treaties ratified by the vast majority of countries across the world that there has to be marine insurance with risk of war clauses purchased to set off in commercial voyages like this. So the legal question was whether it was the insurer of the ship owner, the insurers of the sailors, or the insurers of the cargo who had to cough up this $7.7 million ransom that went to the Somali pirates. So what did the court decide? It is legally complex to point the finger at whether the ship owners, sailors or cargo owners actually owe this money legally on the basis of the risk of war clause in their insurance policies. But to cut a very long story short, the court essentially concluded that as a principle of shipping law, the insurers of the ship owner, the sailors and the cargo owners were all liable. The risk of war clause and all their policies was invoked by this Somali pirates attack event, meaning that they all had to share the blame financially for this disaster as the underpinning legal principle of this. The exact figures of how this would be apportioned was then dependent on the facts of the case and the contractual terms. There was a contract written which provided further rights in relation to this. The Gulf of Aden clause in this contract between the ship owner and the sailors stated that the ship owner was 50% liable for the risk of war, and the charterer or the sailor and the cargo owners were liable for coughing up the other 50% of the ransom. As a detail, it should be clarified that although the Somali pirates got $7.7 million in ransom, the general average and final financial sum being sued for was only $5.5 million. Perhaps a government authority somewhere along the line made a $2.2 million contribution to help facilitate the matter getting sorted out. So there you have it. The answer to who ends up paying for the Somali pirates ransom once they're back in the real world is that the risk of war clause applies and the ship owner, sailor and cargo owners are all liable, and the terms of the contract and actions of the party will determine the exact percentages of this.
Unwinnable. In other words, it's a huge shit sandwich and we're all gonna have to take a bite.